Hey folks, Randy Go, Trout Mega Man with you here today. Been a while since I've done a video. Hadn't been out fishing. The heat's been pretty oppressive. It's starting to cool off a little bit now. Now we got the pop-up storms going. They start early in the morning. They last all the way up into the late evening with lightning. So I don't want to be out in a boat in that. But anyway, we're gonna get back out fishing just soon as we get some kind of break in the weather. It's cooling off, but storms need to quit. But anyway, about this new rod. I got a Major Craft fine tail Banshee area trout rod, 5 foot 9 inches, extra ultralight. As you can see, it's got a pretty soft tip. This is a solid tip rod, 14.5 inches of the upper section is solid. That's one of the longest solid sections I have on any rod I own, really. It's quite lengthy. But this rod is a hoot to fish. I took it down to VFW Lake just the other day, fished off the bank, off the bucket, got into a few bluegill, a few small bass, and it let me know real quick that I made the right decision on what I wanted this rod for. You know, when we first start fishing as kids, we want to catch fish, of course, but then as we get on into young adults, it's always about the big fish, always about the big fish. And I like to catch big fish as much as anybody else, but you're going to catch a lot of little fish along the way. There's a whole lot more little fish in them waters than there are big fish. I love catching big fish, but let me tell you something. I love catching small fish, especially when you got the right tackle. And this rod is the right rod to have for catching 5, 6, 7 inch bluegill. They give you all you want. You're going to see in the video of the few fish I caught that I'm putting on the video, you're going to see the bending curve on this rod, and it gives you a lot of fun, gives you a whole lot of fun. This rod weighs 2.45 ounces. It's got the Fuji titanium torzite guides. Just a magnificent rod. While these are out of production, you can still find these rods. You can still get them. And I decided to go ahead and do this. I've never owned a rod under 6 foot. I wanted a rod under 6 foot, and I said, if I'm gonna get one's gonna give me all the fun I can have, and that's the extra ultralight. And so got the rod, and believe you me, bluegill in the area, this is gonna be the rod I'm using. It's just a ton of fun. I mean, they really give you a good fight on this rod. So anyway, that's about the new rod. And I got another new rod coming. It's coming out of Australia. The Abu Garcia Real Finesse Eradicator, 6'7", slow taper special. Really excited to get this rod. It's an extremely sensitive rod, yet it is a slow rod. The action is slow. It goes into a complete parabolic curve when you get a fish on it. But the thing about it is, it's supposed to be extremely sensitive, which slow rods usually don't mean sensitive rods, but in this case it does. But no telling when it'll get here. Could be a couple of weeks, but we're going to test that rod out, and I'll report back on it too. Now, a lot of you have asked about how do I know what depth of water that I'm going to fish what size jig head in. Well, this is for the trout magnet. This is for no other lure other than the trout magnet, because that's what I fish 90-something% of the time. The smallest jig head you can get away with will catch you more fish with the trout magnet. That's just the way it works with that lure. When you look at the trout magnet, it's got the split tail. It looks like it don't have any action, but it does have action. But the heavier you get on jig heads, you start taking that action away. Now, for water that's only 4 or 5, maybe 6 foot deep, I'll fish a 1/2 gram or 1/64th, and you ain't got to wait all day for it to get down on the bottom in 5 or 6 feet of water, and you will catch a lot of fish. That 1/2 gram jig head or 1/64th, that trout mag's just fluttering as it falls. It's falling slow. I mean, it's falling real slow. And those fish, they can't stand it. They'll hit it. Then when I get up into some deeper water, say 10 feet, 11 feet, I'll step up to the 1 gram jig head. And the reason I do that is even at 10 feet, for a 1/2 gram to get down to the bottom, it's going to take you a long while. and I still get good action with a 1 gram jig head using a trout magnet. Then when I get to say 15 to 21 feet, 22 feet, I go to the 1.5 gram jig head. Still give me plenty of action using a trout magnet. The 1.5 gram jig head seems to be my sweet spot jig that I use most of the time. It just works out good. It works out real good. Now, if I get any deeper, I will go to a 2 gram. Now, 2 gram is, I have found in my experience, when you're fishing a trout magnet, especially if you're using it for trout, you get past that 2 gram mark, you're not going to catch a lot of fish with it. It just takes away the action of the lure. I have tried 3 gram. I have tried 2.5 gram. If I get down to 30 feet of water, I've tried to put it on a 3 gram jig head, and yeah, you're going to catch fish. But you won't catch fish like you would if you bring it back up to the 2 gram and above. That's just the nature of the beast fishing a trout magnet. And I would imagine it's that way for any micro jig that's of similar size to the trout magnet. The heavier the jig head, you're going to take away more action from that lure. And so those are the weights that I use to determine how deep I'm going to fish the trout magnet. It works out well for me. And as I said, the 1.5 gram is the sweet spot jig head for me. I can use the 1.5 gram in 4 or 5 feet of water if I want to get it on bottom quick and keep it on bottom. It just works out very well. Now, when it's windy, let's say I'm only fishing 10 feet of water, but if it's windy, I'll tie on a 2 gram jig head, because fishing 1/2 gram jig heads, 1 gram jig heads in the wind when you're twitching, that's not a good proposition. You're going to get a 30-foot bow in your line, and you're not going to catch a lot of fish. There's going to be a lot of fish hit it, but you're not going to feel them, or they're going to feel you before they get the hook in them. So those are the weight jig heads I use, and it's very rare, very, very rare you'll see me go over a 2 gram jig head with a trout magnet. It just doesn't produce, folks. It's that simple. Now, I know some of you are going to comment, hey, I use 3 gram jig heads and I catch fish on a trout magnet. Yes, you do. But you're going to catch more fish if you stay that 2 gram level and below. You just will. So anyway, folks, hope all of you are doing well. Hope all of you are healthy, staying safe. Y'all see the news just like I do. It just seems to be getting worse each day with the pandemic. But sooner or later, we're going to come out of all this, and everything's going to be back to normal, hopefully. And that will happen. That'll happen soon. So I hope you enjoyed a little short video of the demonstration of the new fine-tail Banshee 5' 9" extra ultralight rod. I sure had a lot of fun sitting on the bucket at the bank at VFW Lake. Had the whole lake to myself. Brought back a lot of memories, because I fished VFW Lake for a lot of years, sitting on that bucket on the bank. And it's usually a pretty good lake to fish, especially in the spring. In the summertime, it's hot down there. I mean, it's hot. That lake sits in a bowl. There's not a breeze stirring, and it can get oppressive in there. And it got pretty hot on me the other day, but I was able to catch enough fish to tell me what I wanted to know about this rod. I highly recommend this rod if you're looking for something for a fun factor. It's got sensitivity, and it'll give you all the fun you want. Now, you don't want to tangle with any large fish with this rod. I mean, you just don't. I'm sure you'll get them in, but it's just not the rod you want to be catching any 13, 14 Kentucky bass on, a largemouth. You don't want to do that. So this rod will be primarily used for bluegill. So once again, folks, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support of the channel. And until next time, soar lip 'em all, and life is good.
Ooh, yes, here we go. Here we go. All right now. All right. Now this is ain't a big fish, but that's what I'm testing this rod out for, to see how it does on smaller fish. He's a chunky little fish though. Give me a lot of fun. Here we go, folks. Here we go. Oh, this is a chunky little bluegill on the extra ultralight. Shoot fire. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now that right there give me a lot of fun on that rod. That's why I bought this rod. Ooh, a little bit better fish here. Yes, sir. I say that, he just thinks he's better. I tell you what, now that is a chunky male. That joker is pretty. That joker is flat pretty. That is a pretty bluegill. That fish is beautiful. He's sure healthy. Oh, here we go, folks. Here we go. What we got here? What we got here? It's a good fish. Oh yeah. Well, I say good fish. It's a little bass. Huh. A little bass, but boy, he put a bend in this rod. Oh, Mr. Bluegill here. Yes, sir. He cutting up too. Shoot fire. Now, folks, this bluegill right here is, you generally can catch a lot like this. In some places you can anyway. But you need a rod that's, going to give you fun on that. Well, I have found a rod that's going to give me fun with that, and that's this Banshee Extra Ultralight. Yes, sir, that joker gave me all I wanted. Oh, that's Mr. Bluegill again. No, it's Mr. Bass. Nice one. Shoot what you talking about. Shoot fire. Yeah, this joker. Yeah, he he giving me all I want. Let's get him up here. I got the net here, but I'm gonna try to get him up here without breaking the line. Yes, sir. Now he got himself hooked, hitting for that. Get off of him. That'd give me a little fight there. Yes, sir. Ooh, what we got here, folks? I think this is bluegill. Pretty good bluegill. Good for this rod. Yes, sir. What you talking about? Oh yeah, yeah. It's a chunky bluegill. Chunky bluegill. Yes, sir. Now, that there's an 8-inch fish. Give me all I wanted on this rod. Pretty fish.